Hello, this is part 3. Part 1 and 2 is in video 1, and this is part 3, which is drafting the raglan sleeve. Okay, I decided to use a smaller scale paper so I can get it all on the video in one screenshot. I'm using a regular notebook paper just for demonstrate how to draft the raglan sleeve. What we need to know is the circumference of our wrist. Alright, I took a plain sheet of paper and folded it, and this is my center point. And I'm only going to draw half of the sleeve pattern. Whatever you do on one side, you do on the other side. Okay, the first thing you need to do is to draw your horizontal and vertical line. Alright, so my pattern is going to be just a minute. Alright, this is a regular ruler, and what I did to make it a half scale is to mark. I took a white nail polish and painted over each line. Can't see that either. Alright, so you working with a half scale ruler. Alright, so my wrist measurements circumference is 8. So since I'm doing half of the sleeve, so half of 8 is 4. So I'm just gonna use my half scale ruler from the center point, draw a line to 4. Alright, and the length of my sleeve is 21 inches. So take your ruler and draw 21 inches. Alright, so that would take me. Alright, so I need to start my bottom here. Let me turn this over. Let's do our vertical line first, 21 inches on our center point. So from the top to the bottom, using the half scale ruler, I'm going to draw a line to 21 inches. So that's 21 inches for the sleeve. And the half of the wrist was 8 inches, half of that is 4, so now I'm going to draw my horizontal line using the half scale ruler to 4. Okay. Now the next measurement we need is the circumference of our upper arm, or our biceps. So basically you just measure your arm, your bicep, up here at its widest point, and mine is 15 inches. Half of 15 inches is 7.5. Now I know I have a armhole depth of 7 inches, so let me mark that. From the top down, using the half scale ruler, 7 inches. So 7 inches brings me to about right here. on my vertical line. So my okay, we said that was 4 inches, and my biceps is 15 inches. Half of 15 inches is 7.5. So I'm going to draw my line to 7.5 on the half scale ruler, which would be about right here. 7.5. So this is 7.5, half of the sleeve, inches. Now my 4 inches at the bottom is equivalent to how many centimeters? So that's 10 centimeters. 7.5 inches is equivalent to 19 centimeters. Okay. Now, my armhole bind off is 1 inch. So, I'll put it down here. 1 inch bind off. That is equivalent to 4 to 5 stitches. Right? So that'd be 1 inch is 2.5 centimeters. Okay, so this is my point here. Now I'm going to take my ruler and match my points. Right there, and we have half our sleeve. Right. Okay, so we said in our 7 inches up here in depth, armhole depth is 7 inches, and 7 was equivalent to what, 18 centimeters according to our pattern. It was 18 cm. Now, the next thing we need to figure out is the top of our sleeve. Up here, the raglan sleeve. Now, normally, the raglan sleeve is equal to 1/3 the neck width. And in our pattern, in part 1, our neck width was 6.25. 6.25. And we're going to divide that by 3. And that equals 2 inches. Alright? For the sleeve at the top. And because we're doing half of the pattern, the top of our sleeve needs to be 1 inch. And 1 inch is equivalent to 2.5 centimeters. So we're going to take our half scale ruler, and I'm going to draw a horizontal line of 1 inch. Because we're working on half of the sleeve. So we have 1 inch over here and 1 inch over there, which is equivalent to 2 inches. Alright, now that I have my 1 inch horizontal line at the top, now I can match that with my sleeve point. Oh, let me go back down here to the underarm sleeve. So we do an automatic bind off 4 to 5 stitches at the sleeve. So that is 1 inch. So we need to go in 1 more inch at our armhole for our second dot, because we're going to automatically bind all these stitches off. So from this point, after the bind off our stitches, we're going to align our points at the top of the raglan sleeve to the bottom. After we bound off, we're going to draw a line. Like so. Now we have half of our raglan sleeve plotted out, and that's how you draft the sleeve. Now with the calculations, again using the same formula, starting at the bottom, we have 10 centimeters and we're working in stitches, so that will be 20 divided by 11 cm. That's our SWAT measurement in centimeters, the distance between the markers on our swatch, times the width, and our width starting at the bottom of the sleeve is 4, or 10 centimeters. So that's times 10 centimeters equal. Okay. Now that we know the bottom of our sleeve is 8 inches and half of that is 4 inches, so we have 10 centimeters. So we need to calculate that. So 20 divided by 11 cm, which is our distance between the markers on our swatch, times the width is going to be 10 centimeters. And that is equivalent is 18 stitches. So that means we're going to have 18 stitches on this side, 18 stitches on this side. Okay, now we need to calculate our underarm width. We said our underarm width is 15, so half of that is 7.5. From this point to the outer edge is 7.5 inches. Now we're going to bind off. We're going to bind off 1 inch. 1 inch at the sleeve. 1 inch is equivalent to 2.5 inches. No, 2.5 centimeters, and that would be about binding off 4 to 5 stitches. Okay. So that means that we would have a total of 30 stitches from this point after the bind off to the edge. We have 30 stitches. Okay, to calculate the length from the wrist to the underarm, that length we said was 14 inches, and 14 inches was equivalent to 35.5 cm, right? So now we're going to calculate our length of the sleeve from the wrist to the underarm. So in length that would be 30 divided by 12 cm, which was the distance between the markers on our swatch, times the length, which is 14 inches or 35.5 2.5 cm, and that equals 88 rows. So we're going to cast on 18 stitches, or working on both sides, that would be what, 36 stitches. And then we're going to knit a total of 88 rows to get to the underarm. But we notice that we have 18 stitches or 36 stitches on the bottom, and we have to increase it up to 34 times 2 would be 68 stitches. So we're going to bind off 4 stitches at the armhole. That's going to, and then let's go back to the half of the scale of the sleeve. So total stitches was 34. So we bound off 4. That leaves us with 30 stitches. So then 30 times 2 would be a total of 60 stitches. So that means our wrist, we have 18 stitches. So that'd be 18 times 2 is 36 stitches at the sleeve. At the underarm, we have 34 stitches times 2, because it's the whole sleeve. That would be 68, a total of 68 stitches for the whole sleeve, both sides. Then we bound off 4 stitches at the armholes. So on one side and 2 sides, that'll be a total of 8 stitch bind off. So that's minus 8. So we have a total of 60 stitches right here. Now we're going to do the same thing from the top. So in order to, what's our distance from the top to the underarm is 7 inches, and that's equivalent to 18 centimeters. So that length is calculated the same by 30 divided by 12 cm times 18, let me see, 18 cm equal 45 rows. Okay. Alright. 45 rows, and the top of our raglan sleeve is 1 inch. So we need to calculate that. So that would be in stitches. So that is 20 divided by 11 cm times 1 inch is equivalent to 2.5 cm. And that is equal to 20 divided by 11 times 2.5 equal. You should have 4 stitches, 4 or 5 stitches at the top of the sleeve. Alright. So we started with, we had 30 stitches at the underarm. So that would be 30 minus the 4 stitches we have remaining at the top. That gives us, we need to make 26 decreases. That's 26 decreases from the underarm to the top of the raglan sleeve. Alright, so to figure that out, you just take, we know we have 45 rows, right? Total of 45 rows. And we need 26 decreases. Uh, 45 rows. And we need 26 decreases. So I divided 45 by 26. That gave me with a 1.7. So if I decrease every 2 rows, okay, if I decrease 1 every other row, alright, so what I would do is I would decrease every row. Alright, first I thought I can do 45 divided by 26. I came out with 1.7. So I can't do a 1.7 or 2 stitches because it would be too many rows. So what I would do is just decrease 1 stitch every row 26 times. And knit alright, I changed my mind again. This is what I would do for the sleeve. Had to decrease the sleeve up here at the top. Alright. So I took 45 divided by 26. They gave me with a 1.7 stitch. So there's no such thing. I either had to use a 1 or 2. So instead of decreasing 1 every row 26 times, I scratched that out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to decrease 20 stitches every other row. And 20 times 2 will give me 40 rows. And then I will decrease 1 stitch 6 times. 1 stitch at the edge on every row 6 times. So I'm going to decrease 1 stitch each side of the sleeve every other row. Decrease 1 every other row. And for a total of 20 decreases. That's 20 decreases, and that will get me to row 40. I'll be at row 40, and I need a total of 45 rows. Remember? So I got 40 rows by decreasing every other row. So now I'm going to have 1 extra row, but that's okay. Then after I decrease the 20 stitches every other row, then I'm going to decrease 1 stitch every row. And that gets me to where I want to be, at row 45 or 46. Alright, so, and you calculate the same for the length from the wrist to the underarm the same way. Alright, did we do that? Okay, we did the top part. to calculate this, I don't think I covered that. Right, the distance from the wrist to the underarm is to calculate the length. And the length in this case we said was 14 inches. Alright, so that would be 30 divided by 12 centimeters times 14. That was equivalent to 35.5, and that is, we said that was 88 rows, right? 88 rows. Now we need to find out how many increases we need to do from the wrist to the underarm. So the wrist is, we said, was 18 stitches. So that'd be 18 times 2. That's 36 stitches for the wrist. And the underarm, we had a total of okay. We're calculating the increases from the wrist to the underarm. This length is 14 inches, 35.5 centimeters. And we did our calculations. And we have a total of 88 rows. Alright. At the bottom, at the wrist, we have 18 stitches. That wrist would be 18 times 2. It's a total of 36 stitches for the wrist on both sides. At the underarm, we have a total of 34 stitches. So the underarm would be 34 times 2 equal 68 stitches in total. Now to find out our increases, we just subtract 36 from 68. Six, 7, 8. And we need to increase a total of 32 stitches over 88 rows. Alright, so how do we do that? We're going to divide 68 by 32. Is equal to 2.125. So I say increase stitch every 2 rows. Let me see. 32 every 2 rows. So that would be increase 1 stitch each edge every 2 rows. 32 times, let's see, 32 times 2 equals 64. Let me see. That would be 32 increases. 32 times 3 is 96, so that's too many. 2 times 2 equals 64. Alright, so what I would do is I would increase. Okay. So I divided 68 by 32. They come out to 2 every 2 rows. So if I do that, increase 1 stitch at the edge every 2 rows 32 times, that will give me 64, a total of 64 rows. So we have a total of 88 rows. So I'm going to subtract 64 from that. That leaves me with 24 rows. So what I would do in this case is I would knit at the wrist, knit 24 rows, and then I would increase at the edge 1 stitch every other row. $32 times. Alright, so that 32 times will give me a total of 64 rows. And 64 plus my 24 rows that I knitted first gives you a total of 88 rows total for the sleeve. And that's how I would calculate it. Alright, thank you for watching. If you have any questions, contact Patrice at Machine Knitting Friends Facebook group. And thank you for watching. Bye.